Alright, so let's just get into the video and we'll see what life brings us. Today I'm going to be doing my makeup for the day and we're just going to chit chat a little. Like, who's feeling outside filming? I am. Maybe I'll be feeling it alone, but that's okay. So it's just hand sanitizer, as always, clean fingers. Alright, so this is another video. I'm like, I don't know, it just happened so recent. I don't know how much I should say. Like, I have filmed this video a couple times. And oh, okay, the call of the wild, I guess. I'm gonna start from the beginning. I found this room on roommates.com, and it was a learning experience. I will probably never use roommates.com again. Lesson learned. Let's see. It was just an uncomfortable situation. I lived with a married couple. The place was advertised that I would be living with just a woman, and the man was supposed to leave to go to another country, and I don't know, that just didn't happen during the time that I was there. The man made me feel a little less than comfortable quite a few times, but my last straw was, we had like a little confrontation, and like, I initiated it. I didn't know it was going to be a confrontation at the time, but like, I don't know, it just made me feel extremely uncomfortable. I'm not one, I don't know if I will speak about it, but I probably will, but I've been in some controlling and like verbally abusive relationships with men. There were 2, the rest of them have been normal. Dang, once you pull one brush out, it's like the rest don't fit. But, yeah, so if I get into a confrontation with a man and he starts yelling, I get way more uncomfortable than the average person. So, I don't know. I just was not okay with how it went. I think he was under the influence at the time. I just decided it was time for me to make my grand escape. And packed everything up and left and told them that I was leaving because my car got towed, which my car actually did end up getting towed the previous night, but that's definitely not why I left. I don't know, there were just some weird things going on, and it's probably just best that we all, like, they live with someone other than myself and I live with someone other than them. But basically my point in sharing that story with leaving the other place is, first of all, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. I genuinely believe that, and I was in some horrible relationships where men really got in my face. It was 2, and I mean, I've dated way more than 2 people, but those 2 were the only bad ones, and I definitely believe that. And instead of deciding, like, you know, he apologized, and instead of normally, in the past, what I would have done is said, oh, it's okay, you didn't mean it, whatever, and then we would have just continued living. But, you know, honestly, if you can get big with me once, and I don't do anything about it, like, you know what I mean, and I don't mean do anything as in, like, I don't punch you, like, I mean, I don't do anything as in I don't take measures to make sure that I get the respect I am deserved as a human. It's just, like, it's something that can just keep happening, and that's me giving consent for it to keep happening. So my way of keeping myself safe emotionally and physically, because this man did get very big with me. He yelled and said some inappropriate things, but he never like hit me or anything, obviously. But I mean, to me, if I stayed in that situation, I'm giving him the consent, no matter what is said, that it is okay to speak to me in a disrespectful manner, when at the end of the day, like, you know, we're all adults here. I pay rent just like you pay rent. To me, the best idea in that situation was to flee, and I, thank goodness, have, you know, a place to flee to. I lived with my family for a few weeks, and whew, now I see what my friends are talking about. I really didn't live with my mom from like maybe 18 on. And, like, they always talk about going home and how annoying it is, kind of. One thing, it's so funny, here, I live with a family, and it does not bother me at all when they ask what I'm doing, where I'm going. Like, they don't really ask too often, but, like, you know, like, oh, it was a fly, I thought it was a bee. I would, like, volunteer that, whatever they want, you know? But, like, when it's your own family, for some reason, it's so much more annoying when people ask what you're doing. I don't know. Am I the only one who feels that? Like, even my best friend's mom, I'll tell her stuff, like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and it's not, like, annoying to me. But I was like, what'd you do today? And I'm like, stop trying to pry into my life. But at the same time, it was nice to be home, and, like, you just come home to dinner already made, like, yeah. Alright, so sorry, I had to go look at my eyebrows, because, like, out here they look so dark, but, like, in the mirror they were, like, fine. But, okay. So, basically, moral of the story is, I think renting rooms can work, but, like, I was willing to look past so many, like, there were a couple discrepancies between the ad and real life, and then, I don't know, just, like, my gut was telling me things that I was ignoring just because I was stubborn and wanted to be on my own. So I guess, moral of the story is, you know, like, you can only look past so much, and, you know, you should listen to your gut instead of trying to tell it it's wrong, because my gut was completely right, and, I mean, my situation, I was just yelled at, by a guy, basically, and, there were a couple other things that made me pretty uncomfortable that I ignored, but it could have been a lot worse, and when I meet people, I get a vibe, I get an aura, I get a gut, whatever you want to call it. Basically, when you're, I don't know, like, my gut was telling me something for a reason, and, like, had I listened instead of trying to be stubborn, then I wouldn't have been in the situation I was. Like, it wasn't that bad, but it could have been worse, you know? So, I definitely learned my lesson. I will listen to my gut. If anything gives me a red flag, a bad feeling, then I will totally follow it. But there is a positive side to this story. I ended up, when I was going through my whole thing, I started talking to a counselor because, I don't know, it was just so out of my character, and it's just something I wanted to be over as soon as possible, and I figured talking about it can't make it worse, so why not? When I talked to this counselor, she came up with the idea, I'm going to keep doing my makeup, she came up with the idea that I should, obviously, she could tell right off the jump that I was unhappy with my current state because I did not feel safe where I lived, which she hit the nail on the head with that one. I don't know, I was just too naive, stubborn, whatever, to admit that's where I was at, but, you know, she was completely right. And her advice was, okay, so you need to rent a room. You don't want to live at home. You don't want to live at school. You need to rent a room. And that I should try to contact a neighborhood church, you know, like by my school, because maybe there would be people there who just wanted to help. Like, you know, like instead of, this isn't, I know, I was on roommates.com, and for some people it's a business. And I mean, I'm not going to knock your hustle, but like taking advantage of people to me should not be your business. Like, it's just, I know a lot of businesses do that, but it's just something that I don't agree with. So her advice was contact a church, because, you know, like, people in a church are going to want to do things, like, through the kindness of their heart, not, like, for a monetary gain or a social gain or whatever the gain in having a roommate might be other than to help them out. I thought this was brilliant. So, I contacted a church, which, funny story, happened to be my friend's church. Her dad's, like, senior pastor there. And, I didn't even know. I just knew her dad was a pastor. It's not something she talked about, like, constantly, you know? Because, like, who really talks about their parents that much? But it happened to be her church. And, I met this, like, awesome family because it wasn't her dad, but one of the pastors there, like, listened to my story and was like, oh yeah, I can totally put an ad in our paper for you. Which is funny because I called maybe 4 churches and only one church was willing to help me. Isn't that crazy? Like, I'm not saying that, like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I just think, like, if your goal is to help people, like, only one church really wants to help people. I think a lot of churches have become businesses. I mean, like, maybe that's offensive to some people, but, like, it seems like it because it's just a show. It's a performance. Who can spend more money to pull up in what car at church? Like, who can look better? Like, who can, I don't even know. Like, at least in the community that I have been a part of, church seemed to be extremely commercialized, similar to Christmas, you know? And I feel like that, like, the fact that, like, that church was willing to help me definitely shows that it's not a commercialized church, and it commercialized? You know what word I'm looking for. Church, and that they're people who just genuinely want to help people. And, like, that's awesome, because they definitely really helped me. I ended up meeting this, like, awesome family that, like, invited me right in. Like, I feel like I feel like I met these people, what, a couple days ago, and I feel like a member of their family, like, they honestly, like, care about me and want to help me, and I think that's so awesome. Like, when somebody cares about you and they're not your blood and they don't get anything out of it, really, like, that's such a, like, beautiful feeling. Like, you know, it just makes you want to pay it forward. So, basically, me paying it forward to the best of my ability right now is telling my story. So, like, basically, I think that if you are somebody who, you know, genuinely needs a place to live, not somebody who's trying to mooch, it's not a common idea, but as long as, you know, it's something you're comfortable with, I would have to recommend, like, you know, maybe contacting a church in your area. And, you know, my thought was, like, you know, that how many older people have, like, these big houses and all their kids are grown up, nobody comes to see them, like, you know, like, maybe I can stay with you and, like, help you, like, with your groceries or whatever, maybe mowing the lawn, whatever you need help with, I can stay with you, you know, like, of course, pay rent, and, like, I can help you in any way I can because you're helping me. This is a family, they don't need help, they're completely fine on their own, they just really, like helping people, and I just think that's so beautiful. It makes me want to, like, when I'm older and I have, like, you know, a house and I have, like, the space, I would love to do the same thing for college kids, like, I mean, but bear in mind, going into the situation, you are living with a family, so, like, obviously you're not throwing wild raves in their house, and obviously you're not coming home at, like, 5 in the morning drunk, but I'm 23. I have definitely lived the college experience long enough. I don't find it exciting to get hammered and go to parties anymore. Honestly, I find drinking to be, unless it's, like, just socially, to be annoying now, like binge drinking. It's just more irritating than anything, and I think shots taste terrible. Like, you know, I'm kind of just over that phase, so it's not really a problem, like, I would have to deal with, but, you know, something to keep in mind if that's maybe where you're at. I don't know, I'm so happy where I'm at, and maybe I wouldn't have appreciated it as much if I didn't live somewhere I didn't want to for a while, you know? If I didn't live somewhere I didn't feel comfortable for a while, maybe I wouldn't be as happy to be where I'm at. Oh goodness, putting eyelashes on in a camera. We'll see how this goes. I just think, like, I have really become very at peace with my life and the situations, you know, the hands that I've been dealt, because, okay, so being on my own is partly a choice and partly a necessity. You know, and in your early 20s, a lot of my friends can come home. I can't really. That's not how my life was set up. And it was really hard for me not to resent, like, I'm just being honest, it was really hard for me not to resent my family, like, because, I don't know, being on my own isn't exactly a choice. Like, it's either work and do things that I don't really feel like doing, or I won't have things, like, I won't have a car if I don't, like, nobody's gonna buy it for me, you know what I mean? So it was definitely like a hard thing for me to swallow, I guess. I wouldn't trade families for the world. Ugh. Alright, so if you stuck through this entire video, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Hopefully you got my message and everything I was trying to say. Basically, in the last few weeks, in the last month, I have learned so much about life. I feel like I have matured so much as a person, and I just want to, the point of me sharing my story is to give it back any way I can. If you found my story valuable or even just entertaining, I feel like it was worth it, and I'm happy you got to watch it. Let's just be friends, so just go ahead, subscribe, like, share, comment, whatever, you know. That way we can just hang out more.